Introducing the new Dell PC powered by the Intel Core Ultra processor. It's not just an AI computer, it's a computer built for AI. That means it's built to help do your busy work for you, so you can fast forward through editing images, designing presentations, generating code, debugging code, running lots of apps without lag, creating live translations and captions, summarizing meeting notes, extending battery life, enhancing security, finding that file you were looking for, managing your schedule, meeting your deadlines, responding to Jim's long emails, leaving all the time in the world for more you time and for the things you actually want to do. No offense, Jim. Get a new Dell PC at dell.com/AI-PC. How those ahead stay ahead.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Optimal Finance Daily, the 4 Backstops to the 4% Rule, Part 2, by Sean Mullaney of FItaxGuy.com. You might think, but wait a minute, didn't Melinda significantly lower her Social Security benefits by retiring early by conventional standards? The answer is likely no, as I described in more detail on my post on early retirement and Social Security. First, only the 35 highest years of earnings count for Social Security benefits. At age 55, it's possible Melinda has 35 years of work in. Second, and more importantly, Social Security benefits are progressive based on bend points. The first approximately $12,000 of average annual earnings are replaced by Social Security at a 90% rate. The next approximately $62,000 of average annual earnings are replaced by Social Security at a 32% rate, and remaining annual earnings replaced at a 15% rate. This is a fancy way of saying that reducing later earnings for many workers will sacrifice Social Security benefits at a 15% or maybe a 32% replacement rate. Even early retirees are likely to have secured all of their 90% replacement bend point and a significant amount of their 32% replacement bend point. I previously wrote the following example. Chuck is 55 years old and has 32 years of earnings recorded with Social Security. Those earnings, adjusted for inflation by Social Security, total $2.8 million. Divided by 35, they average $80,000. This means Chuck has filled the 90% replacement bend point up to $12,288 and filled the 32% replacement bend point from $12,288 to $74,064 of average annual earnings. If Chuck continues to work, his wages will be replaced at a 15% replacement rate by Social Security. An additional year of work for Chuck at a $130,000 salary netted Chuck only $557 more in annual Social Security benefits at full retirement age. Number 3. Real estate. Most early retirees own their own primary residence, usually with either significant equity or no mortgage. That primary residence can be a backstop to the 4% rule. For example, a retiree might live on a 2,000 square foot, $500,000 home with no mortgage. During their retirement, they might decide that they don't want to maintain such a large home. So they sell the 2,000 square foot home and move into a 1,000 square foot condominium at a cost of $350,000. The $150,000 difference in sale prices can become a financial asset to backstop 4% rule assets and help the retiree succeed financially. Alternatively, the early retiree could sell the $500,000 home and move into a smaller apartment with a $2,000 per month rent. While the retiree has increased their expenses, they've also created $500,000 worth of financial wealth to help pay that rent and fund their other expenses. A third option is a reverse mortgage, where the retiree stays in their primary residence, but gets equity out of the home from the bank. Real estate can serve as a natural backstop to help ensure retirees have financial security and success. Number 4, death. It's wet blanket time. You may be considering a 30, 40, or 50-year retirement. Unfortunately, there's a good chance that you won't live that long. Sadly, not all early retirees have a long retirement. There's a real chance that an early retiree will not live for 25 or 30 years. That factors into whether or not the 4% rule will work for an early retiree. Let's consider a 55-year-old considering early retirement using the 4% rule. He believes that he'll live 30 more years, and there's a 95% chance that his assets will last 30 years. He believes that the 4% rule has a 5% chance of failing him. Further, assume that he believes there's a 30% chance that he will die prior to age 85. His own potential death reduces the chance that the 4% rule will fail. Remember, failure requires that he has to both run out of assets and live long enough to run out of assets. By his estimation, the odds that both events will occur are just 3.5%. To figure this estimated probability, multiply the probability that he will run out of assets, 5%, by the probability that he will live long enough to run out of assets, 70%. A not insignificant number of early retirees will have an early retirement that lasts, sadly, only 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years. That, again, sadly, backstops the 4% rule. Early retirees versus conventional retirees. I've contended that early retirees have 4 natural backstops to the 4% rule. What about more conventional retirees? I'll define a conventional retiree as one who collects Social Security soon after retiring. I believe conventional retirees enjoy 3 of the 4 backstops. Sadly, they enjoy the mortality backstop to a greater degree than early retirees. Conventional retirees retiring on Social Security do not enjoy Social Security as a backstop to the 4% rule in most cases. Here's an example. Robert is age 65 and is planning to retire on financial assets and Social Security. He will collect $36,000 a year in Social Security and will spend a total of $76,000 a year. To facilitate this, he will initially withdraw $40,000 from his $1 million portfolio. In Robert's case, Social Security is not a backstop to the 4% rule. Rather, the 4% rule is simply one of 2 necessary but not sufficient sources of funds for his retirement. A failure of the 4% rule in Robert's case would not be backstopped by Social Security. Conclusion. While there are no guarantees when it comes to safe withdrawal rates in retirement and the 4% rule, it's possible that many early retirees will succeed with the 4% rule for 2 reasons. First, the 4% rule may, by itself, be successful for many early retirees. The second reason is that even if the 4% rule fails, there are 4 natural backstops in place for many early retirees that can step in and help retirees obtain financial success, even if the 4% rule fails on its own. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled The 4 Backstops to the 4% Rule by Sean Mullaney of FItaxGuy.com. Imagine you're a business owner who has to rely on a dozen different software programs to run your company, none of which are connected, and each one is more expensive and more complicated than the last. It can be pretty stressful. Now imagine Odoo. Odoo has all the programs you'll ever need, and they're all connected on one simple, easy-to-use platform, giving you peace of mind that your business is always being taken care of from every angle. Odoo has user-friendly open-source applications for everything. We're talking CRM, accounting, inventory, manufacturing, marketing, HR, and everything in between. Basically, if your business needs it, Odoo's got it. Odoo sounds pretty amazing, right? So stop wasting your time and money on those expensive, disconnected platforms and let Odoo harmonize your business with simple, efficient software that can handle everything for a fraction of the price. It doesn't get much better than that. So what are you waiting for? Discover how Odoo can take your business to the next level by visiting odoo.com. That's ODOO.com. Odoo, modern management made simple.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I'd like to reiterate that when it comes to the 4% rule, much of the analysis and planning are based on assumptions and should be used as a starting point. There are definitely rough guidelines to ensure that you do have enough money to retire. A general rule of thumb is that you need 25 times your yearly expenses. But your drawdown strategy will need to be reassessed yearly so that it aligns with what's actually happening with your money. Not only can you not predict what the market will do, your circumstances are likely to change over time in ways you might not be able to anticipate. Well, that seems scary, and it's totally understandable to worry about running out of money. I'll share something that makes me feel better about it. I was recently at a Camp FI event where half the attendees retired early and are actively drawing down from their portfolios using a guideline like the 4% rule. Guideline being the key word here. The overwhelming issue that most people in the room had was realizing that they saved way too much money simply out of fear. Now their main challenge is figuring out how to pull from the right buckets and do Roth conversions at the right time to minimize their lifetime tax burden. I think the bigger challenge for many people in the FIRE community in particular is a tendency to work longer just in case, even when they hit their goal number and really want to quit. And that's another episode of Optimal Finance Daily in the books. Thank you for your support and for listening every day. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.